What's up, guys? It's another day, another video. I'm actually quite excited about today's video because it's a long anticipated topic that people still have an argument over it even till today. And let's just settle the debate once and for all. The Z900 versus the Yamaha MT09. The Kawasaki Z900 versus the Yamaha MT09. We're here to settle the debate today. There's not so much to talk about because I want to just make it as simple and as plain as it can get. There are two types of riders that would pick each side. I would not lie, I am a Kawasaki guy. I owned a Kawasaki KLX 250 in the past as a personal bike, and I rode it everywhere. So when it comes to Kawasaki's reliability, I have seen a very good fair share of that, and I've been around Yamaha bikes a lot, so I feel like I have a very good ground to judge both sides. Let's get straight into it. If you're watching this video, you probably have seen all of the spec sheets and the technologies that these new bikes have, even from the older ones. I would put up clips of me on the different generations of the bikes that I have been on. The first gen MT09, the second gen MT09, the third generation MT09. The new ones I haven't ridden yet. I've seen them around. I have a few friends who have bought them and they've ridden them around. They're liking the bike. Even though at first when it came out it looked polarizing and people didn't really like it. The same thing, people didn't like the third generation MT09, the one with the back guide. Sorry to call it that, but that is what it looked like at first. But now people kind of are okay with it. There's been modifications here and there for that bike, and it looks okay. But honestly speaking, the second generation MT09, the one with the lights like this, that has been the sweet spot for me for a long time. I'm not here to bore you with the technicalities and the spec shit. Here to just let you know, look, this is, from my experience, this is what this bike feels like to ride on the road. This is what you're going to be experiencing. And from my experience, this is what you should go for if you're this type of a rider. If you're this type of a rider, you should go for this, go for that. And just to spare you guys the time and money of purchasing a bike and then not ending up liking it because it doesn't suit your riding needs. So the first gen, second gen, third gen, fourth gen MT09. From my experience, the first three generations, the first generation I rode was a very raw, very aggressive, very don't play with me, otherwise I will kill you type of bike. That was the first generation MT09. First generation MT09. It was quite fun. Like, that bike was a lot of fun because of how raw and aggressive it was. The second generation, I kind of had mixed feelings about it first because I rode a few of them. The first time I rode was quite dull. It wasn't so punchy. And it wasn't as punchy as this first generation bike I'm used to. I was like, wow, that is really a downgrade. And I rode another one, and I rode another one. I think it was the fourth MT09 that I rode, the second generation, that really solidified things for me. That bike would just power up first, second, third gear set. It would clutch up easily. And it was wonderful. The way that bike really and how aggressive it was reminded me of the first generation MT09, and that was when I was like, okay, I really like this bike now. That bike was the bike I had most of my accidents on because that quick shifter is just, I don't know how to explain it. I'll put up clips of other people, and maybe if I have a few videos of myself, I'll pop it up there to show you guys. Just listen. now that you've listened to that, you kind of understand what I'm saying by that quick shifter is it's just heavenly. I don't know what Yamaha put into it, but it's like the pressure and the force you feel, the torque you feel after the quick shifter engages and disengages and it releases power back to the rear wheels. And it's orgasmic in a way that it compels you to keep going. From first gear, you go, you hit the limiter, you shift. Second gear, you shift. Third gear, you shift. Fourth gear. And it makes you want to keep doing that and doing that and doing that. And a 900cc bike like that is going to get into trouble very quickly. These are just some of the realities. And it was very planted. The faster you went, it was much more enticing to keep pushing the bike. The bike rewarded you the more you pushed it. The third generation, on the other hand, when I got to try it, it felt very, very light, incredibly lighter than the second generation MT09. And the throttle, the electronic throttle was much more, it was a bit nicer. It was nice to change the modes and feel a big difference in the modes as compared to the second generation. You had D mode, C mode, B mode, A mode, and it had different traction control, different suspensions settings, and all of that. Once I got on the bike, I just turned off traction control, put it in B mode, then I switched to A mode data just to see the difference. And I was like, wow, there's a big difference between the different modes. It's nice. It's decent. It felt extremely light, even for wheelies. Like the moment you think of it and you just give it throttle, the bike shoots up in the air, shift chain through the gears, you're holding it at balance point, and it's just going, it's just going, it's just going. You shift into the next gear and it's just going. I'm like, wow, this is a really fun bike. The 4th gen, on the other hand, people didn't like the looks. I kind of like the looks. My take on electronics is like there's a threshold where it starts to get too much on a bike. Yeah. And I feel like the MT9 has reached that peak where it's like anything else they add to it will just be excess. On the Z900 hand and perspective, I had a decent amount of experience on the second generation Z900. The first generation, not so much. I got to ride it here and there, but it was just raw, like the first generation MT09. We'll get to the comparisons in a bit, but let me just finish on the Z900. Nothing too crazy for that matter. It was fast, yes, but it didn't have that character that the first generation MT9 had. Second generation Z900 comes, and I really, really like the look on that bike. Like, I really liked it. I got to ride it here and there a few times. I even got to spend like a few days. The traction control on that bike works so flawlessly that I can literally give that bike to an intermediate rider who doesn't know anything about wheelies, and I can 100% guarantee you that that bike will protect him. Like, that bike will keep that guy safe because I know that that traction control is never going to allow that bike to wheelie. The way it cuts power, it's so effortless and you don't even feel it sometimes. The second generation Z900 was much more, like miles ahead of the first gen. Like, it was such a big difference. One thing it missed though was a quick shifter. The Z900 did not have a quick shifter. That is why I feel really, really put it down below the MT09. I think the most recent Z900 comes with a quick shifter and it has the new Ninja look. Personally, I'm not really a big fan of that. I prefer the older generation more. I really like the tail light on the newest Z900. That I'll give to them. Here are a few clips of the Z900 doing what it does best, and you guys can compare between the MT09 and the Z900, and you let me know which one you think sounds the best. Alright, so now that you've heard that, you guys have a fair idea of what both bikes sound like. Now, coming to the comparison, this is where the arguments always land Bear in mind, traffic light to traffic light, the MT09 is always going to be the Z900. Regardless of the year model, the way it hits on the MT09 is much more stronger. Even though technically expects you to tell you that the Z900 has more Newton meters of torque than the MT09, the MT09 delivers it instantly and it puts it to the rear tire and poof, you are gone. If you're a good rider and you manage that clutch very well, you are gone. You've defeated the Z900. We're on a racetrack, Z900, MT09, and you both take off from 100 kilometers an hour. The Z900 is going to 100% discipline the MT09. Even though the MT09 feels very light, very punchy, the Z900 just has a top end and will keep pulling until about maybe 235, 240. Some, if it's a lighter rider, it can hit 250. It's crazy. The Z900 has a lot of top end, but it needs a lot of road to actually reach that speed. MT09 gathers up the speed, hits it, and then hits the stop speed at maybe 230, 240, 245 maximum. Yeah, it won't go more than that. Unless you have a tuner and the tuner removes the top speed and does all the things it needs to do. But this is just to give you a good example of what would happen to settle the score, basically. There's two categories. You guys would have to fall into one of them. There's no in between. You have to fall into one of them. The MT09 on one hand is very light. It feels very light. It feels very really happy. It encourages a lot of hooliganism. If you know that word, you know that word. There's no need to explain that. The Z900, on the other hand, is very planted. It's heavier than the MT09. But all of that comes to the benefit of the Z900 when you're at top speed or when you're speeding up. And that weight plants you to the road on the Z900. So the MT9 is a wheelie bike. It's happy, it's hooligan, it's very light. On the racetrack, it's gonna be absolutely wonderful to lean in and out of the corners. And the Z900, on the other hand, is gonna feel really sluggish when you're leaning left, right, you're moving through corners, but it rewards you when it comes to top speed. That should basically give you guys like a breakdown of what you should be looking for. And I hope that this video has really brought you guys to making a very good decision. It should give you a guidance on what type of rider you are, whether you're this or that, and which one will be most likely better for you. And that should help with making the right purchase. I believe you guys have gotten enough information from this video, and I would have to end it here. I will be back. I'll catch you guys in the next one, okay? Peace!